And welcome back here to Adobe Live on this wonderful Tuesday morning/afternoon, where today I am joined by the one and only Tony Harmer.
Yay!
On my left side. There we go.
Hello. How are you, good sir?
I just wanted to ask that same question. Very well. I hope you are feeling better too.
I'm at least 20% improved on where I was yesterday. So yes, like, I'm getting there.
Carry the 2.
Yeah.
864% better.
Yes, round about that. Yes, right. Something like that.
And of course, we are not alone here because the fine people at home who are watching this on Behance join us on be.net/Adobe Live. They're watching this and they are already chatting over here. So let's see what they are saying. They say, hi, Emma. Ooh, Emma is joining.
Emma's here. Quick, behave.
We have Andreas and Angus and Gareth and Gilana and Jackie and Linda and Mike and Oliver and RB and Sandrine and Sean and Stuart. And I've noticed that you are not in the chat. What happened?
I don't know. Let me just see if I'm in the chat now.
There you go. All right. I think you just had to say something. That's okay.
I did. Yes.
And if this is your first time joining us, by the way, do come on over to Behance in the chat and say hi. Let us know where you are watching from. And if you have missed yesterday's film club, because this is part 2.
Part 2. Yes.
Improving my French word by word.
There you go.
Tony's not a mod. Yeah, I know. Because
yeah, I know. There's a good reason for that.
If we made him mod, he would ban everyone except
everyone.
I'm the only one watching.
Well, I'm chatting with myself, my other alter egos. Raquel's in the chat. Raquel,
ooh, hi. Hello.
My new friend.
All right. So, Tony, tell me, what is the plan for today?
Right, so we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. We're going to do some more stuff in Illustrator. We've got a few things still to do there. In fact, if I switch over to Illustrator, and if we go screeny sharey, yesterday we started doing the host thing. Okay, and if you remember, we drew this outline for Mads. Now I've embellished that slightly because it was a bit blocky. So I've started to add in some hair strands just there, just to, Maddie's got lovely hair. And we did that, and then I carried on. So I've been adding in a silhouette for Emma, and there are props for each of the people as well. So, for example, Maddie has a prop that's appropriate for her. That will be there in the final movie.
Hi, Maddie, Emma's watching.
Hi, Maddie. And Emma's prop is not being drawn, but spoiler alert, the name's in the layer. Just there. Then we've got Joe. Oh, in fact, we've got segments for Joe. Okay, and you can see them now assembled. So if I just go ahead and hide the other parts here, Joe has got an upper arm section, which is going to be something we're going to be animating tomorrow. And Joe also has a camera on there. So what we can do is just, again, spoiler alert, if I get that layer active just here in Illustrator, I can kind of preview it by the arm coming up and the camera coming into play like so. There you go. That's kind of how that's going to work.
Very busy bee.
Yes. Well, now we've got lovely Natalie in there. I'm not really sure what Natalie's prop is yet, though. It's kind of, Natalie doesn't need one because she's like downright cool.
Sunglasses.
Sunglasses. Yeah, she does have some killer sunglasses. And great shoes. She's always got great shoes. But yeah, I don't know. Then there's this guy.
Cats, Emma says.
Cats. Oh, yes. Because there isn't a cat in there yet.
Maybe some felines from space.
There's definitely going to be a feline in there now. So then we've got your good self just there from your host picture. Tell me you're not angry.
No, I like it. You've kept all the frizzy hair. I've tried to hide.
It's got your flick and everything in there. Your extra bit is actually something that's going to go in After Effects, and you'll like it. That's all I can say. You won't be offended at all, I promise. Yeah, and you will genuinely like it, I'm sure. But that will be revealed tomorrow in our mega episode. I think you
spoiled it yesterday a bit, just a tiny bit.
Did I?
I think, but we don't. We
what
won't
did
remember.
I do?
We will just not talk about that.
Okay. Oh, I might have done. I was really not feeling my best yesterday.
Who's that?
Then myself, just here. So I did my host outline, the one with my flying helmet on, and it just looked weird. Yeah, well, in fact, I didn't even draw that part because I just looked at it and thought that is not going to work. So I didn't draw it. And then I drew my other sensible host profile picture, and that didn't do it for me either. It just had a load of fuzzy stuff around the side of the chin and everything. And I thought, it doesn't actually say me. And what says me more than a flying helmet, if I can't draw an actual flying helmet on there, is a pirate hat. So, that wins. I think that's just like me. It's got the odd bit of a flicky mustache.
I was about to
just
say,
there.
Looks a bit like that, yeah.
Yep. And then we swapped out all the text for blackcurrant just here. So we've got all of those good things going on. And we've got plenty of things, right, that we can use for our bouncing dot to pop into. If you remember, we're kind of emulating Saul Bass titles as the Archer titles do. Okay. And so we've got loads of things there that we can use to work with that. Really, really handy. In fact, Emma's the only person who's let the side down by not having any O's in her name. So that's.
I mean, we could always use negative space inside the A or the R.
Oh yeah. We've got all sorts we can do with it. It's all good. Not to worry. But yeah, that's where we were at with that. So today, the drawing toss, and this now looks like the continent. This is what Adobe Live would look like if it was a continent. There's a joke in there somewhere. I just daren't even utter it. But if you've only joined, if this is the first time you've joined, in fact, since if you didn't catch yesterday, in summary, these are the titles that we're working on, the Archer titles, just here, and we're building out the elements for these. Now, the backgrounds we're going to be doing today, so some of these backgrounds, it's going to be a simple background that we're going to use. We're not going to do any of the inappropriate figure stuff or any of the kicky fighty stuff, but we have got some humor in there. So that's kind of what we're working to, that kind of thing. Yeah, and I always stop that exactly at the wrong point. We'll stick with Judy Greer. That works really, really well. Okay, and retheming for that. So,
United Hosts of Adobe.
United Hosts of Adobe. Yes. That's a good one, actually. Oliver's great. I'm going to see Oliver, not next week, I think, the week after, something like that. I don't know. I've got to message him. Oh, wow. But yeah, he's got some stuff for me. And I've got some stuff for him. So there we are. Right. So what shall we start with, Tim? Shall we start with backgrounds or do the clock? I think we need to do that.
I think the clock would be a great idea. I do want to play the certain theme that's related to the clock, but I'm not going to do that because of copyright reasons.
Yes. Okay. But you're gonna share a bit of music with us later, right?
Yeah, we will also. You can already start drawing if you like. We will also do some light music, some light work on the music, do some recording, some live recording, and that will be fun later during the stream.
Ooh.
So Tony will break out his guitar, and
just about reach it from here as well. Right, so I've drawn a circle, obs. Yeah, there's a circle on the page right now. So a nice regular circle kind of works well for a clock.
Crazy.
I know, all the funs. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to make it slightly more obvious here. So I am going to just tap D on my keyboard to give it the default fill and stroke. By the way, I've got the same document profile here as our end product, 1080p. So this is a 1080p document from Art and Illustration. that I'm working with. Okay, I'm just going to increase the stroke there so you can see the edges of the clock nice and easily. And then I'm going to draw a text frame. Okay, so I've just got the type tool there, dragged out a text frame. I don't want point text for this. I definitely want an area for this. It's started to fill with some placeholder text in blackcurrant because that's the last thing I used. And I'm going to type 12 inside of that frame because that's, I think, the widest of the numbers that we're going to be using here. Okay, so I'll hit escape on my keyboard. That takes me out of the text. And you can see the area text just there. So I want to do a couple of small modifications. I'm going to bring that in just a bit there. So it's not much wider than the text. If I go any further than that, it will create a new line. Okay, so I'm just going to go to that. I'm then going to go to the area type options. So if I go to the type menu and down to area type options, what I want to do here is change the alignment here to center. Right, so that's it says horizontal alignment in there. It actually means vertical. Ooh, I know it is vertical alignment 100%, but Avinash, who's in charge of doing that sort of stuff, I'm really fond of him, so I don't want to tell him. I love him so much. I don't want to tell him. I don't want to upset him because he'd be devastated if he knew something like that. But if you're watching this, Avinash, I'm sorry, man. Anyway, I'm going to bring that up to the top of the clock as would be its natural place. Now, there's a few different techniques we could try to do this. We could have tried type on a path to get the numbers around. But to be honest, because we want all of these to share the orientation as they are in the movie here, you can see everything, the baseline for everything is natural down towards the object here rather than oriented towards the shape. We need to do a little bit of extra work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap R on my keyboard and then aim for the center of this object. Now, for some reason, oh, there it is. I couldn't quite find the center just then, and my smart guide was not helping me. I'll try and go into outline mode, so Command Y, Control Y to do that, and then I can definitely find the center of that object. And by the way, if you don't see a center mark, something's wrong. Okay, so I've got that to the center. I'm going to hold down Alt or Option and click, which does two things. It starts a transformation, but also gives me it starts a transformation, giving me a dialogue, and also places the point about which the transformation will take place. It is a 30-degree rotation I want, but if I didn't know that, I could do 360 divided by 12, and then it would give me 30 degrees there, like so. All right, just for the people who don't know about that. And to hold down Alt or Option and hit Return, because I don't like clicking copy because it's too slow. And so it creates me a copy, and then Command D all the way around until I've got back to the top. Nice. Now, these are gravitating or orienting towards the center of the circle, and we don't want it to be that way. The unfortunate thing is here is that I need to manually now change these back. So I'm just going to go ahead and rotate each one back to 0. I'm using the properties panel for that. Okay, because it's there and handy. You can see it's just a couple of clicks, but it's more clicks than I'd rather have.
And you can't
and even transform each won't work. Time? No, it won't work because it then treats those as, if I just select 4 of them, you can see it treats them as a natural object in that way. So, I mean, but this isn't, it's not like going down into the cold, dark earth and fetching back coal. To be honest, you know, in the labors of Tony, this is not, you know, the biggest one I've ever been exposed to. You know, taking something like 35 seconds to do it. Even I can accept that. So then I'm going to tap T for my type tool, and all I need to do here is get rid of the 1 in that instance, get the 2 in that instance, rather the 1 in that instance.
Wow, you're really saving time by doing that. What because typing the 1, I mean,
I know. Well, no, honestly though,
if you're paid by the character, yeah.
Tim, I know people, right, who would drag across that like so, then delete it, then type a number. I know loads of people who would do that, right, rather than just double clicking it and typing the new number, or doing what I'm doing here, just retyping the one that I want to change. But hey ho, you know, how you do it is entirely up to you.
Perhaps they are paid by the keystroke.
They maybe are paid by the keystroke. One of my, I'm just going to move these down a little bit as well. So I'm going to select all type objects just here. So let's go object, all text objects for this one. I'm just going to nudge those down a little bit because their baselines and the clock are at odds. Perfecto. So now we've got our clock face, but we're still not quite done here. So I'm just going to reselect those, because we're going to need them to fall away in After Effects. So as they do, if I switch back to the movie here and just wind forward a little bit, you can see that as this starts to change, once it gets to midday, which of course is the time that Adobe Live comes out, so it's kind of lucky that you can see that the numbers then start to fall away. So we're going to need to be able to animate each one of those separately. So first of all here, I'm going to save this particular document. So we'll call this one clock. Okay, like so. And then we can go to our layers panel. And with the objects that we've got selected, we can go ahead and release these to layers as a sequence. If you use build, it would incrementally add them together in there. So layer 1, for example, will have the number 1 on it. Layer 2 would have the number 1 and the number 2 and so on to do it. So we're going to release to layers, sequence like so. So there we are. We've got our little sequence. We've got at the bottom there, we've got our circle, and then we've got all of the numbers. However, because there's always a however, these are actually in sublayers at the moment. They are children of layer 1. So we need to kind of pull these out so they become layers in their own right. Layer 14 is now redundant because that was the thing that was the parent layer. Well, actually, I think that's got the clock on it. There we go. So we can get rid of that. And then we should name all of the layers. However, I think I'm just going to do that in my own time as a penalty for, you know, whatever.
And Dia is asking, what if you make the numbers move like the old telephone dial instead of the minute and hour hand? Well, we're trying to sort of recreate the intro, but yeah, if you want to make your own version, I'm sure that's...
Yeah, I like where you're coming from with that, though. That's kind of, that's set a couple of gears going back in the future film club things in my brain.
The famous old telephone number with a 12 in it.
Sorry?
The telephone numbers with a 12 in it.
There is on my planet.
And Sandrine says, I never think about release to layers. I always do it by hand. See, there we go.
Yeah, but it just takes like no time at all. I mean, I think it would be nice if you could use that and maybe hold down the option key when you selected that menu item and it didn't put them into a sublayer. You know, that would be nice if they were like that and you didn't have to manually drag them out. But, you know, hey ho. Oh. Yes. Right. So we've got that. That's really good. The next thing we need to work on is our background. Okay, so we're going to create a new file, same profile, Option Command N, Alt Control N to do that. And we are going to, because in Archer it's supposed to be spy themed, and so it's got all of the things that go along with typical 60s genre of that thing. It's meant to be, of course, an inappropriate version of that kind of genre. Yeah, then we don't want any of that stuff. We don't need any planes. We don't need any technical diagrams. We don't need any, well, technical diagrams we can get away with, but we definitely don't need any dancing women or anything like that. It's not on the table. So what we are going to use is we are going to use the product mnemonics. And just as it would happen, I have the product mnemonics library just here. And we're going to start with my favorite application. Actually, no, Tim, in honor of you, we'll start with yours.
We're going to start with Capture, right?
We're going to start with Capture. We are. Well, it's going to be in there. They're all going to be in there. I'm going to hold down Option when I drag this in, because if I just drag it in, it creates a linked asset linked back to the library, which is great in a lot of occasions. Okay, but here I want an asset that I can modify. So I'm simply going to click like so. Okay, now that I've added that in, and then we're going to work on it a little bit. Now, I guess really what I need to do here as well is I need to create a background. So I'm very quickly going to create a rectangle in the background. In fact, I'll do it here. I'll just type 1920px by 1080px. It's important that I put the units in because I'm working in millimeters at the moment. Okay, and that will give me what I need. I can then use my alignment controls to center that onto the artboard, send that to the back, and then let's give that a color. Let's go with something, actually, let's go with something contrasty to what we've got at the moment. It's not going to be the final color of it. In fact, just to be neutral in case people hate orange, we'll go with the gray.
I mean, oranges are frustrating. So
oranges are frustrating. Well remembered. Well remembered. And where's it from? Oranges are frustrating. Can you remember?
Well, of course, the deep depths of your mind in the darkest times of waltz. And
it's actually from the track listings of the Dawn's album Wall on the Floor.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that, but I thought you wanted to know where you got the title from.
Oh, where I got it from?
So that I don't know.
Oranges that are difficult to peel.
I see. All right. Also, I was thinking if perhaps the mnemonics could work as like a Breaking Bad sort of style title show.
Oh, like as the periodic table?
Yeah.
You know, that's where these things actually came from, the actual AU and everything. Somebody redesigned the Adobe application periodic table, and that was done with CS4, I think. There you go. It will still be out there. You've got access to the directory, Tim. You can find it. Well, what we're going to do, just to make it a bit more visually interesting than having just flat icons, okay, sat on the backgrounds as they move, I thought we can make them more interesting by, first of all, removing their color, because that way the background color can change, because that's an important part of what we'll be doing here, which is why I'm kind of neutering that out to gray. I'm going to just tap D just for a moment with that selected. That turns everything there to the default, okay, of white fill, black stroke. I actually want to have it with a white stroke and no fill. So what I'm going to do first of all is Shift X. That swaps the two things over, transposes the stroke for the fill. And then, because fill is in front in my toolbox there, hit the slash key to remove it. It's also at this point where I have to start to make some style decisions here on just how these are going to be conveyed, right? Because so they're kind of not too thick as they are at the moment to start to look a bit weird and blocky. Yeah, but so they're just light enough because they will be a background element. Okay, so that bit's working pretty well so far. I am going to drag a safety copy of that away by holding down Alt Option, of course, to do that. Then I'm going to use an extension from Herman van Bergen, this Nimbling 30 SSR plugin, right, or extension, which is very handy because I'm just going to tip this one round, okay, to 30 degrees isometric, like so. I've got to tell you, there are other plugins and extensions that do this on Adobe Exchange. This one, hands down, is the best one. It really is good. Really, really good. Okay, so I'll double click that just to collapse it. Now, I think that's going to look pretty cool, but we can make it a bit cooler. And I'm going to use one of my Astute Graphics plugins just here, AG Architect. Okay, because I could draw all of what I'm going to do now, but it's so much easier if I simply click like so. Okay, and then I get exactly what I'm after here. So I'm just going to change these to white like that. And now I've got these kind of hyper-extended finding lines there, or construction lines, that now make that look really, really interesting. So you can imagine that with the other icons done like this, that's going to look a lot more interesting. Interestingly enough, my as it's been happening a little bit, there we go, recently, it's going a bit weird. Right, so we've got that. So all I need to do is repeat that for all of the product mnemonics.
And while you do that, I just quickly answer a question from the chat.
Yes.
Because AKT was asking, what is this stream about? Well, this is the film club for Adobe Live, and Tony and I, mostly Tony, is working on a title sequence where we are recreating this Archer-themed intro. And at the moment, this is part 2. Yesterday, Tony already started illustrating a bit, and today, and animating too. And today is all about adding more elements to the animation and the intro. And right now, we are in Illustrator, and Tony is adding all the different app logos to the background using a plugin called AG Architect from Astute Graphics.
Astute Graphics. Yes. Yes. So I mean, I could do that. I could draw all of that. I think what I'm going to do, I'll do just 2 more, okay, for now, and then I'll do the rest in my own time. So I'm just going to do these fairly quickly. Okay, so I'm going to hold down Option, drag out the Illustrator icon here, and click to get a copy of that. And we'll also have, let's have, I don't know, let's have Media Encoder, because you do like that. And I do like that as well. Okay, so now I've got those. I can actually select both of those, work with them together because they're going to look exactly the same way. I'm just going to drop this up to 3. Okay, Shift X to swap those over, and then slash to get rid of that. Then I'll get my nimbling extension just here
and
go for isometric that way.
Mike is asking, why not make all this in After Effects?
Yeah, I could do, but it wouldn't be as quick as doing this.
Does After Effects have the Astute Graphics?
No.
There you go.
Because I'd actually have to draw. I'd actually have to draw those things for it. Yeah. Whereas here, you can see I've got a whole load of different things I can do there, right? But here, I just click once and it's done. So, and After Effects is great for animation, great for a lot of other things, but perhaps not the best for as a drawing environment. I know a lot of people use it for retouching, but not the best for a drawing environment. I'm also keeping these things live as well, just at the moment, okay, because I want them to be. And then I'm going to give them kind of a relationship like this, so they sort of almost connect together. Okay, just so when you see them tomorrow, when they're actually working, when all of the things are assembled. So I'll create a few different instances of those. So sorry.
I like this idea.
I think it will work really, really well. And in fact, I'm just going to save it too. So we'll just call this background pattern there. Okay, so that's done.
And you have about 20 minutes.
Yes, I'm gonna rip into the next one very, very quickly. Right, so I'll do that, and then once I've done it, let me just do a quick show on this one. Mind you, it's going to be difficult to see. I'll turn it into a pattern. Like so, I'll have to change the stroke colors here, but essentially you can see it in the overspill, how the pattern's going to look. But I think if what I do is brick them by row, then they'll overlap slightly from there. And I can even change the interval of the bricking just there. And it will give us a nice, interesting pattern in the background. So there we are. Right, good. So that's saved and ready to go. It's time to pop back then into Animate CC. So I'm going to create another full HD document here. And if you remember yesterday, we did some shape tweening. Okay. With the logo.
Oliver says, Adobe Dice. Roll them to see what app you need to learn today.
Oh, Man, I've got an Adobe mnemonic Rubik's Cube over in Studio B. I have. It's epic. Right, let me just go for recent files here, and I'm going to go for the leg file that we created yesterday. Do you remember this?
Yeah, my leg. Yeah.
Your leg, yeah, with your pom-pom thing on the front of your shoe.
I mean, that's my secret. That's how I'm so tall. I'm actually just 5'3".
Man, I've got to get me some of those shoes. I really have. Right. I'm going to close that. I don't need to save that. I'm going to go back into Animate. Okay, and that's on the clipboard, so I can use that in a minute. For now, though, I want to bring in a movie file, the one I had from Adobe Stock yesterday. If you remember, I had a piece of licensed content from Adobe Stock. And what I'm going to do is do import and import video. It's a separate command for video specifically inside of Animate. Okay, the file is on my computer. I want to load it as external video with a playback component. No. Embed an FLV. No. Do this one. Embed H.264 in the timeline, because I want it in the timeline. Okay, and it warns me that that cannot be exported, which is just fine because I don't want to export it. So let's go ahead and do that. If I didn't have a suitable video, I could switch over to Media Encoder using the convert video option there, and it will launch Media Encoder separately for me. Let's just go next. I'm going to get it to place an instance on the stage, expand the timeline if necessary, and include any audio. Well, there is no audio with it, so I can just say yes and finish. And then it will take a moment for this to happen, but it really is just a moment. I'm going to rename this layer. So I'll just call this movie ref, because this is going to be our movie reference just here. Okay, and if I drag the timeline, you can see that playing throughout there. Okay, however, it's not really at the right size for me to work with it. I'm just wondering if I can get away with resizing that. I will. So let's try bringing that up like so, because you really only do need the legs in kind of this region here. That's just fine. I'm then going to lock that layer so I don't interact with it any further and add a new layer. Let's get zoomed back in. In fact, I'll zoom out just a tad actually and paste with my clipboard contents. It's Illustrator, so it knows how to deal with it. We went with this yesterday. So here is the shoe with the pom-pom on it. And what I want to do is break this apart. I'm going to turn this into a shape. So Command B. And immediately you'll notice, right, that it's covered in that sort of dotty pattern there. That tells me that it's a shape object. I'm going to change the fill color of that because it'll be helpful for us to see how this works. How are we doing on time, Tim? Got about 10 minutes, is that right?
Well, 15 minutes, I would say.
15, cool. Okay, so let's just tap Q to get my free transform. I'm going to hold down Option and Shift so I can resize it up in this direction. Something like that. Doesn't need to be exact because it's going to be my own rendering of this, but I am trying to get it fairly close just to make it easy because I'm going to use the video as a guide for this. Okay. In fact, it added me another layer just there, so I'm going to get rid of that. And let's call this one leg. Like so. And then what we're going to do is we are going to use this control here, the Asset Warp tool, which is kind of a cousin to the Puppet tools in After Effects. It's also related to the Puppet Warp tool inside of Illustrator. Okay, and I'll just click here. You can see it's got a mesh. I now have a bone architecture just there beginning. Do you know what? I'm going to just escape that a minute and back that up just one step because using that color is not going to work very well. So I'll go back to that now and click on it again. Okay, and now you should be able to see in a moment where I'm going with this. Let me just zoom in if I can.
And yeah, Annika is just saying, imagine if you have to draw each frame and you could just do this.
Yep.
So
and back in the day.
Animate is really doing all the, wait for it, pun, legwork for us.
Oh, I love it.
Thanks. I'm here all day.
Okay, so just a quickie on this, right? At the very top of this bone architecture, there is a square. That is kind of the anchor point for the object. You can branch off in different directions from that. Anything that's circular is an additional bone just here. Okay, I'm going to hit escape just for the minute so I stop drawing the bones. You can see I can click on an individual node here, right? Or the bone itself. Notice that if you can notice, and if you're watching on a phone, you're going to find that kind of difficult, right? But the icon changes to a pointer with a curving arrow, indicating that you can rotate from there. Now, I've got to be honest, that's not in the best positioning for that. I'm just going to undo that. So what I'm going to do is move the top of this bone. You need to hold down the Alt or Option key to do that. And I think around about there is probably going to work better. Yeah, I'm kind of happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to move the root of this leg across like so to about this point here. And then I'm going to rotate the leg into place at this particular point. Something like that. I think I need to go over just a little bit more, because even though I'm using it as a guide, there's no point in having a guide if you're not using it properly. And then we'll just come along and click on the bottom bone here and just spin that into place like so. Now, I could move that further down into the foot. The only thing is, where it draws the mesh, it may well start deforming the foot a bit too much. But for what we've got here, with a sequence of it going across and across, then that'll work okay. So now it's a matter of determining, okay, where the next kind of key point is. So I'm just going to wind this forward a frame at a time. I'm just taking this nice and easy. Now, if I get to this point, this is where the legs are going to cross over. So I think I'm going to add a point just here. So in the timeline, I've just clicked to highlight that frame. And then I'm going to tap F6 on my keyboard. I've got F keys enabled on my keyboard. That places me a key frame. It must be a key frame. All of the rest of these are frames. You can also do that by right-clicking and choosing Insert Keyframe from the context menu if you don't have F keys or you're not using them on your machine. Okay, so now I've got that, I can now start to work on a couple of things here, like where the leg is in space. So the leg will have moved slightly across like so. Then I can rotate the leg round into position, which is more or less like that. If I have to move the leg still further, that is also fine. And then it's a matter of changing the tilt of the foot so it's in place just there. That's not too bad, you know. Let's wind forward a bit more. So crossing over just there. I think I'm going to have to zoom out just a tad as well so I can see the top of the leg. So in this point again, adding a new keyframe. So it's a key event. Okay, and then I'll take the top of this back to about this point here, rotate this around somewhere like that is pretty good. There is still some tilt to be had in the bottom of the foot. Okay, let's go a bit further forward. That's in the timeline, of course. Yeah, let's watch that back. Okay, I'm going to add another frame just here. You'll notice I'm doing this just spaced out between them. It's just experience that gives me this part of determining where these things are going to be. So let's go to around about there.
Sean also says, instead of using the F keys or right-clicking, you can also use the icon that looks like a Photoshop mask. Yeah, the keyframe
You
icon.
can. Yeah, you can. You've got all the stuff up here. Loads and loads of extra controls that you can use if you need them. Okay, so I'm just going to wind that into about there. I still think that needs to roll back just a little bit. just there. And I'm zoomed out so you can see everything I'm doing. Normally I'd do this fairly tight into to the work. And then this should be where the foot's starting to lift about there. That's definitely another point I'd want to work to. Okay, and I think this is the last one I'll draw just for now. What I want to do, what I'll do in the next steps after this, is I would go back to as close as I could to the first keyframe. And the way I do that is by copying the first keyframe and then placing it further along in the timeline, but moving the foot just a little bit further away to where it is just before that motion. Because if you have duplicate keyframes, when it's looping content, they'll basically collide and stay there for that interval. And that stutter is just enough to not have a smooth animation. So now I've got that, I can move this around like so. But you can see it's not a super long job of work to do this. The foot will be changing in attitude just there, just slightly. Okay, now if I had an additional bone, I could have adjusted the foot position still further, but I think for what we're doing here, it's fine. And then the foot changes again around about this point. I will make this the last one. How are you doing for time? Have you got enough time? I'm not robbing you of time.
8 minutes.
Nice one. Thanks, Tim.
And Annika's reminding you to save so you don't walk on the edge. No. But you know, Annika, it's...
Annika's been going to comedy school.
Here at Adobe Live, we like to take a walk on the wild side.
We do. We do.
And hi, Roman. Welcome.
Yes. Okay, so for the minute, if I just turn off the visibility for the layer underneath. Now, I know that looks weird just at the minute. That's because you're seeing the spaces in between. But here's the deal.
Like the two legs could be overlapping.
The reason I've chosen to draw those intervals rather than overdrawing each frame, because, you know, it's 30 frames a second, right? It takes a little while. All I need to do now is to create a classic tween just there, and you'll see it does all of the in-betweening for me. Yeah. I mean, I could do this as a block, but I'm just going to go ahead and just reinforce the learning there by just doing create classic tween. Tim, I make my US debut tomorrow on Adobe Live. So I'm with you at lunchtime here in the UK. And then I'm at lunchtime from San Francisco.
What are you planning on working on?
I'll still be here.
Can you sneak? Can you do any sneaks?
Yeah. I'm doing dynamic graphics in Illustrator. It's going to be a hoot. It's going to be the good funs. Right. So if I just scroll that forward. Sorry.
Lots of Tony content this week.
Man, it's good stuff. Right. I'm going to just put the playhead at the beginning. This will be very quick because it will start playing back at 30 frames a second. Okay. But if I do that, you can see how that's working. Just from there, it's going to carry on because it's going to go for the whole duration of the movie. Okay, so let's just take this back. In fact, I'll wind it back. But there you go. You can see how that's starting to shape up. And then when I get back to the origin point, or just before the origin point, we've got that. And then all I need to do is the other leg, which I could probably do by offsetting from the first one.
And Sandrine is asking, when exactly is your stream? Well, Sandrine, you can always scroll down below the player and check out the schedule. And you will see...
You can.
It would be 8 p.m. Germany time, so 7 UK, apparently.
Which is my stream tomorrow for LA?
Yeah.
For San Francisco? No, it's 10 o'clock at night I'm on, I think. 10 p.m. at night time.
Then, okay, I will have to talk to the team then, because it says 8 p.m. German time over here.
Does it?
Mm.
Ooh. Oh,
I would check with the team. Keep working.
Yeah. No. We're all...
Well, that would be great, though. Tony shows up 2 hours late. Oh, dear.
Yeah. But, yeah. I don't know, Tim. Right, now there's that return point. Can you see that? Just about there. is that return point.
Yep.
I still need to do something in between those two there. So once more, it's in with the keyframes, and I'll just keep going till you're ready for your bit, Tim.
Yep, keep going.
So I'll just carry on, trying to keep that level between the two things, rotating the leg around. Because at this point, it would still be slightly elevated from the floor because it is the foot at this point would be moving through air. Yeah, so it does need to rise and fall. And that's a common mistake people come across when they make walk cycles, is they forget that as you push away with your toe, you're actually raising into the air. Some of us more than others.
I don't. I moonwalk.
You moonwalk. I'm a bouncy walker. I've been told that my walk is very distinctive.
Oh, I think I know why the time is slightly different, because the US is already on summertime. We're not.
Ah.
So that might be a reason why.
Maybe. Something like that. I don't know, Tim. I will double check. I'll check while you're on in just a moment.
I mean, we can do that after the stream. It's okay.
Yeah.
No need to do that right now.
No. I'm not doing it right now. I'm carrying on with my job.
Yeah.
There we go. So let's F6 that, and then get away and rotate. At this point, it should be pretty straightforward to do that. The foot is ready to push away from the ground again. But I could even just pull that pin down a bit. There we go. Okay, and let's have a look. So the way I would tell is I would click at the beginning and then click where I am and see what the difference is. So I'm just clicking in the time frame, in the keyframe, just there, and having a look at the difference between those two things. And I think that is fairly successful. So I am going to copy that keyframe. Okay, so if I just copy frames there, and if I go to this point here, I'll go just slightly further forward. There, around about there. Okay, and then paste that frame. Okay, I need to remove the tween that's currently on there. Right, so it's frame to frame. So you might have seen there was a dotted line extending into the distance. That's where it goes off looking for the next keyframe. And create classic tween. So we should go back to that point there and there. Yeah, that's not far off. I need to make a minor adjustment just to bring that up just a shade, tiny shade. There we go. So it gets to that point there. Let's roll that forward in slow-mo. Yeah, that's going to work.
There we are.
Do a quick save on that. In fact, oh yeah, Annika warned me as well.
Yeah.
I hadn't saved at all. I bet Annika was sat there tutting going, he hasn't saved.
Yep, she did once.
Did she? Brilliant. Ah, dear.
All right.
Yes.
Very, very nice.
Thank you all.
But what would be an intro without music?
Absolutely.
So, since we obviously can't use the original music, since just like we're not using the original video clips in the final version, we have to recreate something that sounds a bit like the Archer intro. And this time I prepared something again, but I stayed a bit further away from the original tune than last time when we did the Totes Defective one, because it turns out our cover was so good, even YouTube
got a content strike.
we used the original one and it striked us. So it says,
yes,
you've used the original one. Like, no, we didn't. So this time I, for good reason, stayed a bit further away from the original theme. And I thought we could just have a quick look at what I've prepared. Why is it cut off? And hop on over to Adobe Audition. And I would just scale that down a bit.
Nice. By the way, Tim, it is your clock is actually accurate. Your 8 p.m. clock is accurate.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, time's on 1 hour.
It's 7 p.m. here. So for some reason, I thought it was much, much later than that, but it's not. It's 7 p.m. here.
Daylight savings time and probably.
Yeah.
Just confusion. Yep. Regular old confusion.
Yes.
Right. So I'm just going to turn over that way because my iMac is over there. So excuse me for not looking at the camera.
You're doing a Joe. Joe sits to the side, doesn't he? He's got his microphone there.
No, so I'm looking straight out of the picture.
I hope he's better now, by the way.
Yeah. Yes. There we go. That's better. Right. Okay. So I've prepared some stems from here, and I'm just going to create a new multi-track session. Call that one, I don't know, Project Arrow.
Yes.
Get it? Like, oh, already exists.
Yeah, Archer Arrow. Yeah, got it.
Looks like I've already created that one. I wonder why. Yeah, of course I want to overwrite it. Anyway, and I'm just going to quickly take the session files, drop them in, hold down the Option key or the Alt key to make sure they drop on a different track. And yes, I could name the tracks, but I've already named the files, so we would just skip that one for the moment.
Yes.
And now I have my tracks ready to go. And perhaps we can just listen to a couple of tracks just so you get a feeling for the whole song. And I'm just going to make sure that's not too loud. Just going to turn that down for a moment. Okay, so we have this going, but I would like to make some edits to this track just to add some sparkle and, of course, which is also very important, a melody. Because Tony asked me, like, could we somehow integrate perhaps the Adobe Live intro sound to this? And I thought, that's a challenge. And maybe we can do that live. I thought we could do some live recording right now. Perhaps, maybe. If you're into that, chat, let me know.
Yes.
Right. So, first of all, when I've listened back to the original soundtrack, which of course we can't play right now for copyright reasons, I noticed there was some heavy panning going on. For example, the bongos. Nope, that's not the one. That's the one. It was actually very much on the left, so I would just pan that over here. Just checking if it's in stereo, and yes it is. Okay, great.
Yep.
So that's on the left. And the other bongos, which were these ones, they were very much on the right. Just going to use stapler accent finger. Which I have right here, stapler accent finger. There we go.
Yeah.
So hard pan left and right. And if you're not listening to this on headphones, you're missing out.
You are, yes.
Right, I think we can just enable looping and just put it in and then out here. Or maybe not. Okay. And bass. And just looking at some tracks, panning them a bit to the left and to the right, just to get some depth, some stereo, some fake stereo into the mix. There we are, just to make it a bit wider.
Sean's saying we need a headphone warning next time, so we can know.
Okay, now I've noticed, there's a distinct lack of Adobe Live melody in here. So let's create something just to add like the melody, and I just have to enable the camera for a moment. Come on. There we are. Right. So this is my setup for the moment. I have my synth ready, and I thought perhaps we could record like just a quick melody on here and play that in and add some effects. How does that sound? No?
No, not hearing just a minute.
Can you hear that now?
Yeah, we can hear that now, yeah.
Okay, there we are. I was like, why couldn't you hear that?
Yeah, no, we've got it now though.
All right, so just gonna make it a bit louder. Right, okay. So perhaps I thought, and a cowbell. Yep, there we are. It's that one right here, my emergency cowbell, just in case.
Got to have one.
Everyone has one. All right, I'm gonna start with, and I know you can't really see what I'm doing, so I'm just gonna describe what I'm doing. First of all, I have this very basic sound, which is nice, but not really what we want. So perhaps I thought we could start with like an organ sound. There we are. Bit of reverb, perhaps. And some chorus. Very nice. Some drive. Nope, too much. There we are, that's it. And perhaps a second layer. How about some mellotron? Because everybody knows. And I was thinking something like this. Just in the background and both together. I think that could be our lead sound. So it's going to be something like... So similar to the Adobe Live intro, but not quite the same. So that's what I thought. And perhaps just a bit of filtering.
Just in case we had to content strike ourselves.
Okay. And, you know, because why not? Just a bit of flute, maybe? What do you think? Or another organ? Just make that quieter. There we are. Okay, and I think we are ready to record.
Nice.
So what I'm going to do is, well, actually, you can actually see the track. That's great. Just right here.
We can.
As if I have
very handy. Arm it for recording.
Arm it for recording. Make sure I have the right input, because at the moment I actually have this microphone, which you can barely see. That one. That's actually just feeding in, so that's not the right one. I have to make sure I have the right one selected. So just going to pick stereo and input 3. And now, there we are. We can see it now.
Yes, see the levels going. Yeah.
And that's it. Right, just going to add some quick more effects to this and that one. Yeah, just to get this chorusy effect in it. And that's what I really like. And some reverb, perhaps even. Well, that's too much. There we are. I think we're ready to go. Right, and what I'm going to do now is I will just... Sorry about that. Scrubbing noises. I will just go back and play it in live. Because why not? Just fair warning, I have to record it at full volume. Actually, I don't... But yeah, it's going to be a bit loud. Maybe.
Okay. So, and we are just, by the way, at the top of the hour, Tim.
Oh no! Well, this is going to be the last one. Then we're done for this.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, right. Okay, so doing the live recording. Turn down your headphones. The list of all devices connected. No, I don't want to change. Thanks. Right, here we go. No, I don't want to change. Thank you. Hang on, why is it not recording? There we are. Okay, now of course, now I've missed it. Let's try that. Let's give a bit more time just to get ready. Okay. Okay, I've messed it up, but no worries. Just gonna try that one more time. And there. Nailed it.
Hey, yay.
All right. So trim that here. And I think we can turn off my second camera. We don't need that anymore. There we are. And now I can, if I wanted to, I could add some more effects. I'm just going to cheat here and add some compression overall, just to glue it a bit together. And let's try that on for size, see how it works. Maybe we have to make it louder, and maybe not. Maybe we're fine.
Oh man, that's rich.
All right.
There we are.
And I think that is really it, apart from perhaps we've noticed at the end that was a bit abrupt. So I would perhaps add some reverb, see if we can play with that. And the way I would do it, just so you know, would be to go in here and add the reverb effect like this. And then, I guess we can do it just really quickly. Bring down the mix.
Yeah, we're good. I love doing film club.
Bit more, perhaps. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Now it's not just like cut off at the end, but it has a tiny reverb tail. And we can play around with that more or not, because this is all the time we have.
Yes. So good, though. And this, I think this is the chat loving this as well, by the way. It's one of those things where film club for us is great because we get to use everything, as much stuff as we want to get a result. It's good fun for all of us.
And with that, I also like to thank you, Tony, for creating the wonderful animation today. I'm really looking forward to the stream tomorrow. In the meantime, I will work on the soundtrack a bit more, add some effects, polish it, and then hopefully send it over to Tony so we can have the final result of the soundtrack at least tomorrow. Same time, same place, here on Behance. Yep. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Tim.
Bye.
Bye.